Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ming Chen. I love it when my friends create cool stuff, and if that cool stuff includes a comic book, makes me even happier. I'm here with friend, former comic book men alumni Jerry Corita, and now comic book creator, publisher, magnet. And I mean, this is a launch, man. We're launching a brand new comic called Cicada Samurai, which you had me with the title, you had me with the artwork. You get somehow got Walt Flanagan involved, which is no small feat. I can't get Walt to do any favors for me.
You know what the trick is? I literally never ask him for anything. That's the
Oh,
trick.
really? I
So
don't
every once
either.
in a
But
while, when you do, he's like, "Yeah, that sounds good."
yeah, all right. I guess I just haven't come up with the same thing. But hello, this is introducing Jerry Corita. How are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful, Ming. Thank you for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
so it seems to be not a trend, but it's pretty funny. A lot of the crew from Comic Book Men came in, and you guys read comics, but above that, you haven't, you read them. That was about it. Now you guys are creating them, and I like to think that we were a positive influence on you guys. I
I
guess we
mean,
got
honestly, it's more than you know. I didn't grow up reading comics. I wasn't a comics reader as a kid.
really
I wasn't into comics as a teenager. I never had that phase. I was always into TV shows,
okay.
like cartoons, and I watched a lot of Star Trek and stuff.
Yeah,
Like that was my geek focus, as a kid. Um, but I never read comics, and it wasn't until I worked on Comic Book Men. We were sitting in a comic shop, and I was one of the field. Me and Brian O'Toole, we were the two field producers, and we spent a lot of time just sitting there, hearing like you guys debating kind of fun stuff. And I picked up, because we were on AMC, The Walking Dead. The entire run of The Walking Dead was in the shop all the time. So the first comic book series I ever read was The Walking Dead, and I caught all the way up on it in the store with you guys. And then I started buying books from the store. I started collecting some books from the shelf, from the wall, and I got really into it. And so, around the same time, my cousin is a comic book writer, so I started reading all of his comics. And
yeah.
I got hooked.
You want to drop his name? It's a pretty big name.
I just didn't get out of it. My cousin is James Tynan, and
Fourth,
he was
like, no big
James
deal.
Fourth, yeah. He no big deal. He was writing the Batman backstories, and then he was involved in the New 52. When DC was doing that, and everything that came after that for a few years. So I started reading all of his books, and that's kind of how I got hooked. And then all the other guys on set started. Jeremy Schneider, with a brilliant idea by Ronnie Porto. They started Blue Juice Comics. I wasn't really involved until just about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Working with those guys about 2 years.
But now you got your own title. Like I mean, you got your own thing to swing around and like hit out of the park. Like, but so Cicada Samurai. You had me with the title. The artwork's awesome. For everybody just tuned in or anybody watching or listening, can you give us the elevator pitch?
Absolutely. Cicada Samurai it's funny. People keep comparing it to like Power Rangers and Beetleborgs and all these things.
Okay.
I totally see the resemblance, but he's actually a cicada. So the character's about that big in the real world. And he's a cicada who, cicadas come out every 17 years. A giant brood of them come out. They live above ground for like 2 weeks, just long enough to mate and die. And that's pretty much it. This one character is an immortal cicada imbued with samurai fighting powers. And so for 6 generations of cicadas, he's been alive, protecting them all, ensuring the survival of the species. And that's his job.
That's awesome. So he's fighting evil and
monsters, just like when you don't really, it only happens every few years, but when these cicadas come out in real life, animals and insects, human beings eat and destroy tons of them.
Right.
They're just dumb flies. They can't defend themselves. They don't bite. They're not dangerous in any way. They make noise to mate. Like that's it.
Right.
But they don't bite. They're not really scary. They're just big, dumb, like kind of helpless creatures. Foxes eat tons of them. Birds eat tons of them. And then there's this one insect called the Cicada Killing Hornet that will actually sting one, paralyze it, drag it back to its burrow, and lay eggs around it while it's paralyzed.
It's like it's taunting it.
It's horrible. The eggs hatch and they eat the cicada alive for days.
Wow.
It's like I read that I got obsessed with cicadas a few years ago when the Big Brood came out,
Right.
and then I read that, and right away I was like, that's a comic book monster.
Yeah,
That's a comic book
and
villain.
I love, so you took the cicada, which in nature can't defend himself or itself,
Right.
and you made it badass and one that
Yeah.
can defend itself. I'm gonna put up the cover here, like that. This is this is pretty awesome. Like,
That's it. And
yeah,
the rest of them are, and like one thing about it is he's the only one who has any life experience. He's been around for over 100 years. These
yeah,
other cicadas don't live more than 17 years, and most of that's below ground.
right.
And I have 3 kids, and keeping 3 kids alive is hard enough,
Oh,
right?
as a human, yes.
As a human with just 3 children to take care of. This guy is in that role for millions of these cicadas at one time, millions of them.
Wow. So the Soul Protector, immortal. This is pretty awesome. I'm gonna throw up the other covers here. This is the so you have 4 covers that you sent me.
Yeah.
This is the B
These are both
cover.
these are both by Mary Landro. She's the
Okay.
series artist. She's on has a big like crowd on Instagram who loves her work. She's amazing, and I got really lucky with all the artists on this. Like
Yeah.
everyone, I kind of almost everybody I reached out to just was into it
Yeah.
and jumped on it, and like yeah, Mary's done an amazing job. So
And is she pencil and ink as well, color as well?
she does pencils, inks, and colors.
Holy crap! Okay, that's that's no small feat.
Yeah, she's
And then this is the big cover. This is Walt Flanagan did
That's my man,
this.
Will Flanagan. So I intentionally asked all the artists. I didn't show them a lot of what the other artists were doing. I kind of wanted everyone to create their own version of this character.
Yeah,
And so Walt's is much more of like if you zoom in, I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit. He still has the bug arms, but Walt's is like a full-grown man, and it's more of a gritty, violent samurai story.
yes, which in line with Walt Flanagan's artistic sensibilities.
Exactly.
The this dismembered, bloody bodies, the
Yes.
disturbing imagery.
And
Uh,
that's why I wanted him to do this, because I knew like, it's a beautiful looking bug. Even the hornet is scary, but it's gorgeous. I knew like it would be hard to get people to kind of understand the violence that's going to be in this story
right,
and how kind of evil this monster is and stuff like that.
right.
But I knew Walt would go there immediately.
And who did this 4th cover?
So this is the design by Takashi Okazaki, who created Afro Samurai.
Oh, shoot,
He
that's nice.
Yeah, like
Awesome.
this is what I'm saying, dude. I got so lucky. I sent him a message on Instagram. I don't know him.
Right.
Like we don't speak the same language. He doesn't speak English. I
Yeah.
don't speak Japanese. So I reached out to him on Instagram, and I basically was like, "Hey, I'm nobody, but I have this idea about a samurai bug. Are you how is it possible that you'd be interested?" It turns out cicadas are like a big part of Japanese culture. I
Yeah.
had no idea. I didn't know they were native to there. And so he got into it, and he became like a sounding board for all these stories. He was pitching me back story ideas, and like Kurosawa's not available, so who's the best backup? Takashi, with Afro Samurai.
Yeah. Holy
He's
crap.
great.
Jeez, talk about luck though. And
Oh, dude. He just was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Here are some ideas. And so
yeah,
he did the original character designs, and
yeah,
he did
which I'm throwing up here. This is
that
great.
piece here.
You
Yeah.
just
And you can see his is very like it's almost like an animation character. He made it like very much a bug. I had to actually zoom in. I didn't realize that he had done this, but that the hat, the eyes, and everything are just the helmet.
right.
It took me a second to see that, and then I was like, "Oh shit, the little guy is in there."
Yeah, he integrated it, which is cool. And then
Yeah.
we got this one.
Yeah. So this is the Hornet, and this is as far as we got. He's like incredibly busy. The fact that he took any time to do this with me at all is, crazy. But he's doing, I think, 3 animation projects this year. He did an issue of Star Wars Visions, the comic book that he wrote and did all the art for. He's so talented and good, and but so he did that. That's the Cicada Killing Hornet that he didn't really get to finish it. It's still kind of a work in progress. But Mary Landro, who's doing the art for the series, she took his design, and we basically were like, okay, Takashi's character looks like a kid. Our guy is supposed to be 100 years old. Let's age him up a little bit, and we can make the other cicadas look like old teenagers. They'll
Right.
be like 17, 18 years old, basically.
That's awesome. And I mean, you make a good point. Um, if there's someone you want to work with, just reach out to them. You never know.
Oh, totally. It's amazing. Like, yeah, you'd really be surprised how approachable, especially in comics, because like so much of comics is being at a you how much time do you spend at conventions? Like people just the
Every
whole point
weekend.
is that's what I'm saying. The whole
Yeah.
point is to be accessible, you know.
Right.
So a lot of artists and a lot of people are very accessible, and if you happen to catch them in a window when they're open, like even Mary, who's doing the art for the series, I asked her about this, and she said no, she was busy. And I just was watching her social media, and I think it was 2 months later, she just mentioned that she had a window, and I reached back out again, and she was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so here we are.
That's awesome. So you just reached out, like literally.
On literally an Instagram message. I dropped a comment on a Takashi
Yeah.
image of, I think it was a werewolf that he drew that I loved. And then I he sent me his email address, and we've been in contact ever since.
That's awesome. What were your inspirations behind this? Did you read one particular book somewhere? Like, I mean, I know you mentioned you're obsessed with cicadas now, but,
Yeah.
was there a comic book or movie influence that was like, "Oh, man."
No, I mean,
Immortality, I think a Highlander, obviously.
I see my mind goes right to Buffy again. Like
Oh, okay.
my nerdy thing as a kid was TV shows, and
Right,
I was in high school when Buffy came out. Or it was I might have been a senior in high school when Buffy came out. So that's the first thing I thought is he's an immortal cicada. You know, he's the only one chosen to
yeah,
all that stuff. It's a lot in common with that the Highlander. There's a lot of characters like that
right.
through stories. Um, but I went back and I started reading just samurai stories, honestly. And I always liked old westerns, and old westerns are really just samurai
Yeah,
stories.
exactly. Magnificent Seven, yeah, that's a Kurosawa movie, like, they just
Yeah,
they
exactly,
just turned into
exactly.
cowboys, yeah.
And that's kind of what we're doing. One of the things that Takashi and I pitched back and forth, was, in a future arc of this, he would need help at some point. And
Right,
so you could kind of get up to do like a story that's sort of an homage to Seven Samurai.
right.
You can kind of use this little world of insects and kind of tell all these fun stories.
Yeah, so I'm gonna think, so since he's a samurai, there's a code, there's a whole code you had to come up with, perhaps it's like a samurai code,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, again, it's like being a parent, right? Like you have these kids, and then you are beholden to them.
right,
And it's not magical when you're a parent. They're your kids. That's your job. Society looks at you and
yeah,
goes, "You take care of them." But you also, you feel that way. It comes from inside, and you
right,
don't really know why. But you're like, there's no reason that this samurai cicada couldn't just, like he could do whatever he wants
right.
theoretically, but he stays and he oversees hundreds of years of these, cicadas trying to breed and ensure the survival of the species out of a sense of duty.
Yeah, for sure.
It just
I
is compelled to.
How how long did this take you? Do you remember the first day that you put pencil to paper and started writing this?
I'll be honest, I'm still kind of working on it. So like Mary has most of the book for me. She is we're about I think I'd say we're about halfway through the book. She's penciling out the last couple of pages now. And then I plan to go back and rewrite all the letters before we finalize it.
Okay, still
So
a work
I'm,
in
I'm not
progress.
totally done.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I'm a TV producer, so I'm used to sitting with an editor for a while and tinkering.
yeah.
So I'm kind of bringing that to this if I can.
So which is kind of why we're here. This is a Kickstarter project, so
Yes, sir.
not so you need funds to publish, and artists, and like to put out actual physical copies is not cheap.
Right.
So we're here to announce the Kickstarter of Samurai. If you go to Kickstarter.com, just search Cicada Samurai. It'll come up right away because there are no other. It's a very unique title. And yeah, right now, this moment launches the Kickstarter. So I mean, I'll put up the URL as well. It's kind of long, and I wish they would shorten it. But like,
It
and
is.
I don't. Did you make it active yet?
No, I was gonna wait and do it. I'm gonna do it right now.
I mean, you might as well do it right now. So
Pull it up. I
um,
see actually there's a couple of questions in the
yeah,
comment.
is there anything that you want to highlight?
Well, so
Um,
Chris Hewitt is asking if there's a main villain in the story.
aha.
And we
Well,
can Yeah, that's a good question. That's a great question.
yes.
So this current issue, I'm calling it issue 0. It's sort of like a set the table for the rest of the series. And there is a main villain in the series. It's the Cicada Killing Hornet. The Cicada Killing Hornet is sort of a monster. Imagine like if you guys read American Vampire, you know how the American vampires are bigger, stronger, have bigger claws, and they're scarier than vampires. It's like that.
Yeah.
So he's this giant, grisly, cannibalistic thing that wants to kill and eat cicadas and feed them to his babies or her babies. That's the main villain. And it's also
the Takashi, the design. Yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty. That's. I mean, you don't want to wake up next to that at night. So
no, definitely not. Imagine mating with that thing.
yeah.
That
No.
won't be part of the story. It won't be part of the story.
Well,
But that's
not yet. So
yeah. That's the main villain. In this story, he makes a cameo. That character makes a cameo in this story. This is a short story to kind of, gauge interest, see if people like the story and want me to keep making it, because I don't want to throw money away if nobody is interested in the story. But also to raise funds for the first few issues. So hopefully I'll do well enough here that I can, do the next 2 issues without breaking my own bank.
And yeah, I love where you started. So this I guess pilot issue, we could kind of call it 8 pages, which is awesome. That's 8 pages of good taste.
That's it. And you get to meet the character, you get to see him in action, you get to see the world for the first time, you get to meet some of the young cicadas. I just hit live. So if anybody's looking for it, it is live right now.
Amazing. So you can hop on. Let me I'll throw up the URL, but it'll probably be easier if you just go to Kickstarter.com, just search Cicada Samurai. If you want to type in this long ass URL, you're perfectly welcome to, but it'll be easier if you search for it. And do you have tiers set up? I imagine. What are the rewards?
So the first one is pretty standard. I have a digital version, so if you just want the 8-page PDF, you can get that for pretty inexpensive. Obviously, you save on shipping, so that's easy if you're international. International shipping, I helped Blue Juice do their first Kickstarter for Billy the Kit. I was blown away. I kept hearing about it. I didn't believe the hype, and the hype didn't even come close to the reality of what it costs to just send a book to Australia.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like $50 or something. It's sometimes more than the book itself. It's insane, but
it's totally crazy.
You really have no choice. So for anybody overseas that wants it, but you get a digital version for free. So
you get a digital version of this that you can order. That's relatively inexpensive, no shipping. The standard cover is that first one you pulled up, Mary Landro, the A cover. We can look at those again if you that's the A cover. So that's Mary Landro's initial. That's actually the first time I saw the character fully rendered out.
Right.
Suppose right here. So that's the A cover for the series. So that's the standard cover. If you get the digital copy, this is the cover that'll be on the digital as well. And then the next one is Mary's second cover. Yep, you'll get this one. It'll also say Cicada Samurai on it. There's another cover by Walt Flanagan. That's this one, the super bloody, very realistic, angry man samurai, which
again, classic Walt Flanagan. Walt Flanagan.
I love how blood-soaked everything is too.
I mean, the whole cover turned to red. Yeah, it's crimson red.
It's great. It's great. And then the last one is the one that's based on Takashi's design. Which this is actually, he drew that. He did that in the ink and he sent it to us, and we had it colored.
Amazing.
But everything else there is Takashi. And then, there are combinations. So you can get both of Mary's covers. There's a small discount for that. If you want to get all 4 covers, there's a small discount for that. Mary also does this cool thing. She's very entrepreneurial. So every time she does anything once, it seems like she starts a new business. So if you're following her, she's on Instagram. Just look up Mary Landro. She has 100-something thousand followers. She's also 23 years old. She's like, 20 years younger than me. Makes me feel so old. She's so talented, and she started a business where they print her art or any art that you want on these giant metal slabs. So it's like a 1/10 of an inch thick aluminum panel that you can order and hang on your wall.
Yeah.
So I'm doing those as rewards too. So you can order one of those. You can choose whichever cover you want. We'll print it. It's laser printed. It's like shiny and glossy, and then it ships from her in Canada directly to whoever.
That's awesome.
Whoever orders it.
That's fantastic.
And then there's combinations. You can buy one cover, and if you want a second cover, there's a way to add that on.
Yeah,
Things like
that's awesome. I mean, have you written anything before? I just don't know your writing history. I know you as a producer and guy that yells at people on set to
that.
me like Ming, where the hell are you? Like, get, but
Yeah.
we need you. And but have you? Yeah, what's your experience? What's your writing experience?
So most of it is in what's hilariously called unscripted TV.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's all me. It's all sitting in an edit bay and kind of telling a story that way. In reality TV, you end up telling stories with pieces that somebody else recorded or
Yeah.
wrote, and then you just kind of make a story out of it. So that's most of my experience has been that. More recently, I've been writing for TV, so I'm working on a true crime series right now.
Oh
For
wow.
A&E.
Okay.
That's going to premiere in a few weeks. I think it premieres in, I want to say, late October.
Yeah.
That's a true crime series, and I'm just a writer for it. I'm not show running that. And then I did a season of The Food That Built America, and that is largely a scripted project. It's a hybrid scripted, recreation documentary series.
Yeah, which is airing now if you want to catch it. And
Yes.
yeah, a lot of old friends working on that one. Tom Mom is on there, and
Tom Mom, Christian Palladino.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of Drew Painter, a lot of guys who are buddies of ours, all working on that show.
yeah, a lot of Comic Men alumni,
Yeah.
people who helped make our show successful. So, yeah, I guess my one regret, I wish we were still going. Like we could feature this on the show, give it a little promotion.
That would be cool. It would
Yeah.
never air in time to be helpful, but that would be very cool.
Yeah, I mean, comic book writing is very different, though. As I'm sure you've discovered at this
Yes.
point. What's your biggest challenge been in creating this?
I've always been really bad with a blank page. So I've always been really bad. Like I'll sit and some people will outline and then they'll add on the outline, and I find that helpful to a point. But when it's time to actually sit down and write the thing, I tend to stare at a blank page for a long time, and then it comes in spurts. Like I'll think through the first imagery and stuff, like the first couple of pages, and I'll rethink it a bunch of times before I write it down, and then it all just kind of flies out of me, and then I edit it. But I've always been kind of like a better editor. Like if you came to me with an idea,
Yeah,
I would sit up with you all night bouncing ideas back and forth.
right.
And I find that collaboration. That's actually why I like this. You're collaborating. You're collaborating with a colorist, a penciler, an editor. If you're lucky, you have a good editor. So you kind of, it's all collaborative. But I find that collaborating is the best way to do this, for me at least. Some people like to just sit in a room by themselves and figure it out.
Yeah, who's editing for you on this one? You have Tom Mom.
So I bounced some ideas off of Tom. He's been very busy. He's actually been really.
Yeah, he's on 3 projects, I think, and still running Blue Juice Comics and doing many other things.
Right. So what I was doing for Blue Juice is editing. I've been working as an editor on the new Anne Bonny volume that's going to come out soon. The new Ronnie started scripting, the 5th and final installment of the Accelerators, which will finally come out. Which I think you make an appearance in that, don't you?
I believe I'm in there somewhere. Yeah.
I think there's a scene where you the whole Comic Book Men gang are in a mall or something.
Yeah.
And with Billy the Kid, working a lot with Justin and kind of helping to put the new run of that together. So I was working as an editor. So I don't have an official editor on this, working in that kind of creative bouncing ideas capacity. I've been doing that with the artist.
Right. And speaking of the artist, Mary, where did you find her? I know you find her on Instagram, but do you remember where did you first lay eyes on her work?
She actually ran a Kickstarter. So I think that's what it was. I think I was scrolling through Instagram artists and I saw she was posting a lot about her own Kickstarter. It was called Rich, the comic, which you can actually still order. So if you guys like the art in this book at all, you should go check her out. Look at her site. Mary Landro. You can find her on Instagram. She posts a lot. She posts a lot of her work, how she works. She works digitally. She records it. She shares it. She's really great. And I don't think she's finished fulfilling the book yet, so you can still pre-order her comic as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, support her. But yeah, I think a lot. I meet tons of people. It's like, oh, I want to do my own comic. There is only the misconception. They're like, well, I can't draw. I was like, you don't need to draw. There are plenty of artists that you can hire whether domestically or you can go overseas. Typically, they cost a little less just because of the cost of living, and they do great work. There's little language barrier you may have to deal
Right.
with, or time zones, but ultimately, finding an artist is I find one that suits that speaks to your style, and reach out to them. And yeah, I find most, if they're not busy, they're up for making a couple bucks, and they love what they do. And if you have a great idea, then even better because they'll pour their heart into it.
Yeah, there's it's pretty cool how this whole process works, because I've actually found with Mary, at least, that her style is not what I would have envisioned for this at all initially. I had in my head that it was sort of a very Japanese style samurai story,
Yeah,
and especially as soon as Takashi started talking to me about it,
right.
in my head I started thinking about it looking like, kind of living in an Afro samurai world, like something he would have drawn. But I actually like that comics are, like, Scott Snyder is a very big comic book writer, obviously, and he talks a lot about, he'll always give credit to everyone else working on the book, like to the point of almost saying that, like, I really, it's the artist making me look good, that kind of thing.
Right. It was like, yeah, I was just kind of there, and like, "Scott, take some
Right.
credit, dude."
Well, totally. And I always thought it sounded, and a lot of writers do that. A lot of writers in comics do that, I think. And I always thought it kind of sounded a little in my head. I thought, like, oh, they're being like humble. They're doing that but it's real. It's like, as soon as you click with an artist and they kind of are sending you back stuff that's like in line now with what you are envisioning in your
Yeah,
mind, it's like a weird mind meld thing that happens. It takes a minute to click, and then once you click,
right.
it's amazing, and so everything she sends me now, I'm like,
Yes.
yes.
Pretty
Yes.
cool pretty cool that works out.
Yeah, it's really great.
That's pretty awesome. So, what once this does get funded and you're selling millions of copies and you decide to go with the whole run of this, I mean, uh, do you have a set run, or you have a set run that you envision, or a volume of maybe 12 issues, or like how far ahead in the future have you thought? Like, do you see the trade paperback already in your head? Like,
Yeah, I thought of it as so again, like, my whole background was, I love episodic TV, so I thought of it as
okay,
like 6 episodes of a story.
yeah,
So, and it works out. That's what a trade paperback typically is, 5 or
right,
6 issues.
yeah,
So I think that's what my plan is. If this is successful and people seem to want more of it, I'll do a 6 issue run that is the first story. We'll see. It's going to be full of a lot of carnage. We'll see who actually lives and who dies.
right.
And then there'll be a second volume down the
Which is,
road,
yeah,
if
and
people are interested.
who knows? Bigger, badder villains. As
Right.
you do. Maybe other Cicada Samurais out there. Like, yeah, you don't know yet. There's only one way to find out. Back this
There's one.
one,
That's it.
get this
That's
one,
it.
and then there'll definitely be more.
It's,
I mean, do you have an ultimate goal for this? Movie franchise, TV series. I
no.
guess that's kind of the goal for everyone comes out with the comic book right now.
I'm
Um,
starting small. I just want to get enough money to print this one 8-page book, and then
okay,
and then what I'll probably do from there is, I'll see if I can show it around to some publishers, and I have a great relationship with Blue Juice, and so, I may try and pitch to some of the bigger independent ones
yeah,
first, and
yeah,
just see. Just, you never know.
yeah.
And then from there, I think I'll try to finish the run within the next year and try to put it in stores, and do it myself. Do it myself with Tom and with everybody at Blue Juice. Tom and
That's
Mike.
awesome. I mean, I know there's at least one, if not multiple bins over at the stash that will that will carry this. There better be. I mean, Mike Zapsik, are you listening? We need, like, save some space for Jerry Carita.
Like,
Yeah. So you've, in addition to Blue, so you've come up with your own comic book imprint called Thorny Comics.
Thorny Comics,
What is
yeah.
the backstory behind Thorny Comics? It's a great
So
name.
thank you, sir. Thorny is, it's an imprint that I'm using to initially just publish this. I've got a couple of other projects that I'm going to be publishing
Cool.
soon after this. The first one is, Rich Davis, who created Cult of Dracula It was a big hit indie series a couple of years ago. He's done a few sequels to that. So he did Rise of Dracula, and the next one is Reign of Dracula. So Thorny Comics is going to publish Reign of Dracula. And the plan is we're going to launch on Kickstarter as like double-sized issues, print in black and white. And then in 2024, we'll put it in stores with Blue Juice.
That's amazing.
So
And
that'll be public. And then after that, I have another book of my own that I'm going to launch. But there's also, so I'm in Scott Snyder's workshop. He does like a writer's workshop.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Like an ongoing class.
Yep.
There's a lot of other up and coming writers. Casey Van Heel, who did Knights of the Fifth Dimension with Walt Flanagan, is in the class. There's a lot of other people. A lot of them have books coming out soon too. And so some of the people in the class are more interested in being editors. And so every year, a group of those people have been getting together and doing an anthology book of short stories only produced by people in Scott's class. So Scott Snyder presents Tales from the Cloakroom. The group that I'm working with this year, we're taking over that imprint and we're turning it into an anthology series. So it'll be called The Cloakroom. We're going to announce in the next, probably tomorrow actually, that we're open for submissions for people from Scott's class. And then we'll do a Kickstarter for that probably in January. But we'll do smaller issues. So instead of waiting till we have 18 issues and, publishing a 200-page book, we'll do smaller issues every, like twice a year, 3 times a year, something like that, and eventually do a bigger print run of a hardcover.
That's awesome. And I'm going to throw up a couple. We got 2 sample pages here that you sent me. I mean, the colors are fantastic. I remember talking to Tom Mum when they first did the accelerators, and they were debating whether or not they wanted to spend the extra money for color pages. And once you see the color pages, like, all right, we'll get the money. We'll get the money. Just it's in 2023. Get the budget to color pages.
I actually always wanted to do this in color, and then when Mary sent me these pages in black and white, just inked. Her inks are so, like, look at that raven's face on the left there. Her inks are so like rich and deep. I thought about maybe saying, why don't we just do a quick kind of ink wash and do this in black and white? But then she sent me the first page in colors, and I was like, no, never mind.
Here's another page, which it's a great contrast. So
there's our little guys. So this is the beginning of the story. I can tell you about this part of the story.
Go for it.
But these are two of the young cicadas, and they have decided, as teenagers do, to break the rules, and they are going above ground before it's time for everyone to emerge. So they've snuck away from their brothers and sisters below ground, and they're going on a little adventure. And they've already just barely missed being eaten by this gigantic raven, and they're not even above ground yet. So some tragedy may befall one of them, and our hero has to spring into action, unexpectedly, to come and try and save the day.
It's a classic story of dumb kids who think they're going to live forever.
It's my whole life right now. My 7-year-old is just suicidal. He's trying to kill himself.
We see it all the time. I got a couple myself. Although how many boys do you? How many boys out of the 3?
I have a boy, a girl, and a boy. So I have a 12-year-old boy. He's in the 7th grade now. I have a 10-year-old girl who's in the 5th grade, and I have a 7-year-old boy who's in the 2nd grade.
Okay, so typically, boys, they love to try to kill themselves through misadventure.
It's not just because I want to avoid stereotypes, but my daughter is probably like the one who's most independent and most inclined towards, like, what am I not supposed to do? That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Oh yeah. It's a classic creator rebellion, my friend. I've seen it. I've seen it. Rebellion. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to Walt Flanagan real quick, because I have some, nicely multiple. It's like, hey, you got time to do like a shared universe T-shirt, or I met this guy at a con. He wants a commission, and he's like, I don't have time, man. So to get him to do a cover, which again we throw up here, no small feat. No hesitation?
None.
Really? Okay.
I literally, Ming, I sent him an email and I said, I have this idea. are you interested in doing a cover? Do you have time? I don't, he's running that entire Tell Him Steve Dave Patreon
Oh yeah,
empire.
yeah.
Like,
Those other two guys are doing squat. Yes,
thousands of people, and he's on a monthly basis providing new content. Like they're doing a dozen podcasts a week.
yep,
Like it's crazy what
yeah,
he's overseeing over there. The fact that he made any time for this at all, and he did
yeah.
it ahead of schedule. He was like, I'll work on this. I think he was going on a cruise or something, and he was like, I'm going to work on this while I'm on the boat, and I'll
Right.
get it to you when I get back. Like 3 days later, he had his first sketch in front of him.
Wow. Okay. So, so he wasn't
But
like going down water slides and like rock climbing on the boat and like
no,
going to
no.
the formal dances. He was drawing on a cruise ship.
Well, he was. I think he got it done before he went away.
Oh, he did. Okay.
I think so, but he just was into it. He just was like, yeah, cool. I'll give it a run. Like, let me know what the character looks like and
Right.
what you have so far. And what's nice is I actually didn't have that much, so he kind of was working in a bubble, and his initial version of the character is very, very close to what that final cover is. He did like an
Right.
amazing job.
That's all. That's awesome. Um, so we kind of touched on your future plans. You got many ideas, and then hopefully this will get funded. I have no doubt.
Thank you.
Because of our monumental efforts, and you will be making a ton more of these. Because I already see the trade paperback like in my head. Like I can't wait to recommend it to people once it's printed and we're at the same convention. I always get people coming up. We were at a con in Brooklyn not that long ago, and all these people going, "It's like, hey man, what are you reading now? What's good?" I'm like, "Let me tell you what's good. Come over, walk with me
Yeah.
over to the Blue Juice booth. These are awesome books." Like
You're like the king of that. Like if Blue Juice Comics could set up a small table just a few people down from you at every convention you go to,
I think we can make that happen.
because you just always the whole time we were at Brooklyn Comic Con. It's not that big of a convention. The whole thing is in like one level of a building in like industrial area of Brooklyn. And for the 2 days I was there, probably every hour or so somebody would come over and say, Ming Chen said that this is the best independent stuff, and they would buy one of everything.
Yeah,
They would, just
yeah.
on your word, they'd come over and go, what can you do for me if I buy one of everything on the table?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my reputation's on the line as as a comic book reader, as a comic book man, as as seen on TV expert. Yes, and luckily these books are awesome. So, do you have plans of going to more conventions? I mean, they're everywhere. It's a great way to promote. I mean, it's
So
I would love to see you at more big, small.
I would love to do more. I'm going to do more with Blue Juice. I'm going to keep, we're still working together. It's not Thorny Comics is not it's kind of something I'm doing with them.
Yeah.
Like their experience actually publishing these books and getting them in stores and just doing the whole process already has been invaluable to me. So, we're all friends, and we're all kind of, they're advising me on a lot of this stuff. And yes. So the short answer is yes. I don't have a plan right now for the next convention I'm going to, but Blue Juice will still be hitting conventions. I don't know at what point I'll be ready to go to a convention just as me comics. I think I need to do probably a bunch more stuff first.
Yeah.
Before it becomes worth it to, set up a booth and make those trips. But I want to. It's a goal.
I'm throwing recommendations, man. Like, hey, man, there's a con here in Homedale, New Jersey called Super Jersey Comic Expo. Like, you should come down. It's like, yeah.
I mean, I would happily do a couple of local ones. It's kind of weird as a writer too, right? Because like as an artist, you can go to a small convention, pick up a couple of commissions on the day, and kind of cover your costs, and it becomes worth it pretty quickly. As a writer, it's not like somebody comes up to you and is like, "Hey, man, can you write me a story for a commission?"
Yeah, I'll pay you $100 to write a page. Like, it's not like that. You have to have something tangible to not only pitch, and then it's like you got to pitch them first, then they take a look at it, and then either they buy it or they don't.
Yeah.
And then hopefully
it's like good luck getting all that done at a convention,
Right. Yeah. But it's cool nowadays. I mean, everybody's independent now. It's hard to break into, Marvel, DC, Image, IDW, whatever. So most people they're grinders, they'll buy a booth for whatever, a couple $100 and on the hopes that just covering their costs really. But, but based on them loving what they've created so much that, like, listen, I put my blood and sweat into this. You need to read this, and here's why. So
it's definitely like always a passion thing. If you're an indie person, and you're trying to do this to make a living, like I think Mike Moscone, who's one of the four guys who owns Blue Juice.
Yeah.
I think it's him who said this to me, and it might have been a text message. But as soon as I said I was launching Thorny Comics, he said, "Welcome to the world of spending thousands to make
Yeah.
hundreds."
Yeah. Yeah. But the reward is one, you're getting your story out there, and two, as fans, like there's nothing like having that tangible comic like arrive in the box from wherever you got it published,
Oh,
like
totally.
pulling it out and it's like it's almost like the first time you ever pick up a comic book, but like, dude, it's like I made this. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's been this feeling the whole time. I'm kind of in the middle of that for the first time. Every time she sends me a page, every time someone sent me a cover, I'm like, I can't believe Walt Flanagan is sending me a cover for my book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One day I'll be able to say that. I haven't written anything yet.
Do it.
It's all in my head. But yeah,
let's do it, man. I know a little publisher that's willing to take a risk on a new writer.
Yeah. Well, let's get something worthy of Blue Juice for sure. So, again, if you want to grab this, go to it, Kickstarter live now. I'm gonna just throw up the scroll here. Just there's your news flash, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, they're there. You can't miss it. There are two of them. Again, or if you just want to go to Kickstarter.com, search Cicada Samurai. I've seen the pages. I'm gonna be a backer for sure, and I can't wait to hold a physical copy in my hands. And yeah, and I'm hoping you'll pop out at a con or two, so I can send people over to your booth to buy this for sure.
I would love to, man. I would love to. There's a couple of questions, and I'm looking at it in the feed here.
Yeah, go for it.
Mac Jacobson is saying definitely read he read the name as Horny Comics
Horny.
at first.
Horny Comics.
So
I mean, listen, if you try letter for anything, you can turn it into something. But Horny Comics is not a bad.
So this is the joke I've been this is what I told I think I told Tom on this recently. Thorny Comics is Thorny Comics because I wanted to use a rose as the logo.
Okay.
My daughter's middle name is Rose.
Oh, cool.
So Yvonne Rose. So she gets to be involved in it. She feels like it's she's part of the story. So that's why it's Thorny Comics. I recognized pretty much right away that it was like it sounds like the publisher of like a Xenoscope kind of boobies on the cover kind of kind of stuff. So the way I figure it, if nobody cares about Cicada Samurai and I need to make a really big pivot, if I need to start printing comics with just boobs on the cover,
right?
If that's how I have to sell my soul to do it,
right?
Then I've already got the name. The name sounds right for that too.
Yeah,
so I'm prepared for whatever happens.
Wow, I mean, talk about like recession proof right there. Yeah. So we're gonna go with Thorny for now. Thorny Comics.
Yeah, let's keep Thorny for now.
Thorny Comics. But hey, if you choose to see it without the T, so be it. I mean, it's not. And yeah, Mac Jacobson, that is so sweet. That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
That's super cool.
Yeah. My kids are all. There's actually another story I'm working on. The next one. I posted a few images from it for on my Instagram and on Facebook that my 7-year-old came up with.
Yes.
It was a concept. Cool. He just walked into my office one day and was looking at a picture of a bear and suddenly told me this story. And initially I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I stopped and he said it's called the Grizzly Crew. And I was like, stopped everything I was doing and started taking notes.
I'm in already.
It's a pirate story. And so Nick Justice is doing the art for it. That'll be my next thing after my personal, next thing I wrote that comes out.
Right. And a little more family friendly, I imagine, than like the Walt Flanagan, like dismembered bodies, like on the cover. That's awesome. Mac, when do you plan on having this out? I mean, it's out. I mean, it's the Kickstarter is out now. So once it gets funded, it'll be out. And
my goal is to fulfill the campaign almost as soon as it ends. I think we'll have it'll run. We just started it tonight. It'll run for 30 days, so it'll end on I think October 13th at midnight, which is a Friday the 13th. And then as soon as it ends, I'll know how many copies I need to ship to everybody, and we'll print. And as soon as I can get the copies in my hand, I'll mail them out. So I'm hoping to have boxes in the mail before the end of October.
Oh, that's awesome.
I might be able to print before the campaign's over.
Yeah.
But that's my goal. Worst case scenario, first week of November.
Okay. I mean, that'll be here before you know it. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Cool, man. Is there anything I missed?
No, I think we did everything.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. I love you're doing this.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, when Blue Juice launched, I was like, wait, you're kidding me? Those guys are publishing comics, and I mean, they achieved more than I ever thought they would,
Yeah. Those
and
books are so good too. Like that's the thing
beyond.
about them. Like a lot of people will do a quick indie book and they're just trying to get it done and it's kind of rough and dirty, but everything Blue Juice has put out, if you were at Image or you were at Dark Horse, you'd be proud to they would be proud to publish those
Yeah,
same books. They're great. They're so
yeah.
good.
But I love that you've taken your production experience and kind of translated it into comics. Like I mean, yeah, you don't make TV shows by laying around and be like, oh, maybe we'll do this. Like, no, we do it now. Like, I was there. I was like, well, this is this is good. Like we didn't take like the Brian Johnson approach. We're like, I'm working on it. I'll, maybe it'll be done next week. And
Right.
it's just awesome. Um, Go to Kickstarter, everybody. Back Cicada Samurai. It's amazing. Um, Definitely got the Ming Chen stamp of approval, and the rest of the comic book men. I will speak for Mike Zapsik and Brian Johnson by far, and maybe even Kevin Smith. Like, uh, I think he would love this as well. So go on there. Yeah, I mean, you can start as low as whatever the minimum is. Get the digital copy, or if you want more, throw in a little more and get more. So, and yeah, but congratulations, man. This is
Thank you.
no, I meet plenty of people again. And I was like, yeah, I got to, including myself. Like, yeah, I'll write a comic one day, and some of them do, some of them don't. But
Right.
you've done it. So, and not only that, you provide a pretty good model to do. It's like start out with an 8-page comic like that. You don't need to do 20, 22, 24. Start with 8 and give everyone a taste first.
Yeah,
Um,
dip your toe in the water, and that's the whole thing with Kickstarter. I think the community on Kickstarter, indie comics is kind of a weird. The whole comics industry is kind of weird. It's kind of a weird old bird, and like the way that you get a book into a comic book store, there's a lot of barriers there. It's very
yeah,
hard. So, anywhere that people can find online where they can find a little community of creators, there are so many fun things. I don't know. I don't know how many Kickstarter campaigns you've looked into, Ming, but like there are so many fun, creative guys and girls who are on Kickstarter, just like doing these amazing comic books, and then
yeah,
basically because the community is looking for somewhere they can get their indie books, they just flock to it. So Kickstarter, used to be you did it once and then you never went back to Kickstarter again. But now these creators are coming back issue after issue, and it's basically just a way to directly connect with all these creators. And they're so creative. There's a thing right now I just want to plug on
yeah. Go
Kickstarter.
for it.
There are these 6 different creators who each have their own separate followings. They each have they've had their own hits and their own misses on Kickstarter. They've all had a different journey to get where they are. They created a shared universe together. They created this place called the Hospice, which is kind of like, from what I can tell, it's like an end of life care facility for monsters and demons and horrible things.
Yeah.
And then each of them is writing, it's happening this month also. Each of them is writing and publishing their own issue that takes place in the hospice.
Wow, that's awesome.
And like where else do you do that?
Yeah.
Where there's no one doing stuff like that. And
Yeah,
it's
ultimate
so
collaboration. That's awesome.
it's so fun, it's so creative, and you can get kind of like really weird with a lot of it. I took at Brooklyn Comic Con. I met a bunch of guys who all have done Kickstarters. There's a guy named Dan Price who does a book called Bigfoot Knows Karate,
Yeah.
and he was actually, I think he was set up pretty close to
Oh
where
yeah,
you
for
were.
sure.
He
Yeah.
was
No,
right
I
across.
definitely have a copy. So
Yeah, awesome! Like what a great book. What a
yeah.
great story. It's fun. He has another Kickstarter running now. So there are so many things like that where you can kind of put your weird idea out in the world, and if you can find just like 100 people, 100 total people who are willing to give you a few bucks for it,
Yeah.
you can keep making more of your own weird thing that you like. That
Yeah.
you don't have to sell it to somebody, some gatekeeper at a company.
Yeah. And then they're gonna try to change it anyways. So yeah, you get total control over this. Great.
It's really awesome. And then obviously I wanted one more shout out. Justin Gray, who created Billy the Kid and was a writer at DC and Marvel years back. He did Jonah Hex and stuff like that. He's been really, really incredibly helpful and about the whole Kickstarter thing, because he's been doing Kickstarter for a while.
Yeah.
he has a series called Stand Still that's very popular. 12-issue post-apocalyptic story. He's doing another run right now of a thing called Hope, which is really great. I have the first 2 issues. The next 2 are coming in the mail soon. But he guided us, Blue Juice, on our first Kickstarter. And I bounce everything I do on here. I've been bouncing off of him, and his advice has been incredible. So if you you looking for another independent creator anyone wants to follow, Justin Gray.
That's awesome. Cool, man. Well, good luck. I'll follow. I'll be following you in yeah, good 30 days. Do you have like stretch goals? You know, what if it goes above, man?
Yeah, I mean, not yet.
Okay.
I added them for the Blue Juice one. I added them after the fact, so you can amend the campaign. So if this does take off, I will absolutely be adding stretch goals because I want to make sure, everyone. The more money that comes in, the more things I can.
Yeah, and the better it is. That's awesome. Cool, man. Yep. Good luck. Great luck, and congratulations. And yeah, again, everybody go to Kickstarter, Cicada Samurai, back it, enjoy it, love it, and yeah, I'll be keeping tabs, man. I'll be following along. So and follow at Thorny Comics across all social media for sure for news, updates, images, everything. So thank you very much, Jerry Kurita, everybody, creator, Thorny Comics and Cicada Samurai. Back the project, and yeah, we haven't heard from the last of you, so we'll be talking soon. Stay tuned, everybody, and thanks for watching. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, everybody.